We're here back in the fantasy bar talking some week 7, 6 of my favorite plays for you over on FanDuel and DraftKings. And not just 6 plays. We're going to try to get contrarian this week. Some spots I want to attack in a different way than the field will. Some guys I think are going to be very low owned in some good spots. Give you a couple of my favorite value plays. And of course, my favorite play on the entire slate, who I also think will be under owned. Who we talking about? Only one way to find out. It's time to belly up to the fantasy bar. Welcome in, guys. Week 7 edition Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack season rolling on. We are back with 6 guys fresh off the tap for you on FanDuel and DraftKings. So sit back, grab a cold one while we walk through my favorite plays for week 7. Now, before we get to those plays, do me a favor and hit that tip jar. And that is simply clicking that thumbs up button. Free video here. We appreciate that. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content. All right, before we look at week 7, let's take a quick look back at week 6. Some big hits, unfortunately, some misses in there. We'll walk through everybody. Rico Dowdle absolutely smashed once again. Stephon Diggs, definitely a letdown as Booty got all the work there. But Drake May was great once again for us. Ibuka, slow start, then gets hurt. So unfortunately, he's a miss as well. Tongas was okay. Was hoping he would find the end zone. And a massive game out of our Beast of the Week in Josh Jacobs. Congrats to our Beast of the Week contest winners who won a free month of RotoGrinders Premium. Your shot to win that same prize coming up at the end of the video. All right, let's get rolling into week 7. We'll start at the running back position with our first play in Jordan Mason. So a lot of people are going to look at this matchup. They see Philadelphia. I don't want to go against that defense, and I think that's a mistake here. I don't think Mason's going to garner as much attention or ownership as he should here. Coming off the bye, so an extra week of rest, and this is actually a very good spot against this Philadelphia defense. Every single game this season, they have given up over 100 rushing yards. We saw what the Giants and Cam Scatterbo did to them. Over the last couple weeks, they're giving up an average of 151 rushing yards per game. This offense just has not looked the same for Philadelphia either. So I can see a scenario where Minnesota is really controlling this game on the ground. We've already gotten a big game out of Jordan Mason, so we know that ceiling is there. And he's also involved in the passing game, so definitely in play over on DraftKings as well. Sometimes we think of a guy like this as only playable on FanDuel for the touchdowns, but 3 or more targets in 3 of his last 4 games. Jordan Mason, sneaky good running back play here in week 7. All right, let's get you some value at the wide receiver position next with Matthew Golden of Green Bay. This kid just keeps getting better and better, and we see this a lot coming out of the bye week. These rookies' roles start to expand, and he's coming off his best game as a pro last week. We'll get to that here in a second, but I just want to get there before everyone else gets there. If everyone sees a big game out of this guy, ownership is through the roof. Still a lot of questions with this Green Bay passing attack. Who's it going to be? And it's certainly no sure thing, but I love the upside that he can provide here in this offense. As I mentioned, each of the last 3 games, his receiving yards have gone up. Season high 86 receiving yards, also chipped in with some rushing production, 16 rushing yards to go over 100 total yards here. Green Bay looking like one of the better offenses on this slate, 26-point team total here. And the Cardinals have been targeted heavily here by opposing offenses with wide receivers, second most in the entire NFL so far. That's led to the 4th most receptions and the 11th most receiving yards here. Big play and a big week coming sooner rather than later on the low price Matthew Golden. All right, more value at the tight end position with Mason Taylor of the Jets. Now, bear with me here. This one's not for everybody. I get the Jets. Nobody wants to play them. We're writing them off, but this is a high-risk, high-reward play that I absolutely love at the tight end position this weekend. Shouldn't garner a ton of attention with everybody bearing the Jets here, but no Garrett Wilson in this offense. So it's basically going to be Breece Hall, Josh Reynolds serving as the new wide receiver 1, and Mason Taylor, who didn't come to fruition last week, but I think we could see him really rise up and be the number 1 pass catcher on this team. Most of all, it's the matchup. The Carolina Panthers have really struggled with tight ends, not just this season. We can go back to last season here as well, but we'll focus this year. So far this season, most receiving yards allowed to this position, the 3rd most touchdowns allowed to tight end, and that has led to the 2nd most fantasy points given up. You go back to last season, they were the worst team in the NFL in giving up touchdowns to this position. And again, I get it. The Jets aren't going to put a ton of points on the board in most weeks. I have a good feeling about the Jets here. You're getting a low-owned play here that potentially could really step up his production without Garrett Wilson in tight end Mason Taylor. All right, to the running back position next with old Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Now, this one not going to be sneaky, but hear me out here. Jaden Daniels looking like he could be potentially 20% owned or higher here, and for good reason, in an absolute great spot against this Dallas Cowboys defense, but a lot of people are going that way. maybe Krusky Merritt's ownership isn't going to be as high as it should be in this spot. He's also coming off a down game, which we know can help lower some ownership as well, could scare some people away here, but did see 18 touches in that game, is really separated as the running back you want in this Washington backfield. We've already seen a game over 30 DraftKings points, so we know this guy has a massive ceiling. Dallas, 6th most rushing yards allowed, 3rd most DraftKings points allowed to the running back position, and a massive total in this game. While everyone else building those Jaden Daniels lineups, which I am fine with, don't forget to get some exposure to old Bill Jacory, Krusky Merritt, one of my favorite running backs here for week 7. All right, let's get some correlation in that game on the other side at wide receiver with a guy I think will go completely overlooked this week, and that is George Pickens. Now, it sounded like CeeDee Lamb going to be back in the lineup here, and if you're playing cash game, CeeDee Lamb, obviously the better play here. But in tournaments, I think George Pickens makes a lot of sense. CeeDee Lamb going to come in very high owned on this slate here, and when you look at George Pickens' price, you say he's overpriced with CeeDee Lamb back, and you are correct. One of the best ways that you can get contrarian is pay more than other people are willing to pay sometimes in your lineups, and I think we can do that this week with George Pickens. We talked about the total in this game, sitting at 54.5, 55 on some books, so we should see plenty of fireworks here. I think there's plenty of production to go around for these wide receivers, and not to mention CeeDee Lamb going to gobble up a lot more of the attention and the coverage is George Pickens, a big play waiting to happen, especially against this Washington team. We're talking bottom 12 in receiving yards allowed, receiving touchdowns allowed, and of course, fantasy points allowed as well. Both receivers very much in play. Give me the discount here in your GPPs on George Pickens. All right, it's time. Take a look at my favorite play for week 7. Before we do that, let's continue our Beast of the Week contest and give away another free month of RotoGrinders Premium simply for hanging out watching this video. How can you beat that? So all you got to do, click that thumbs up button, head to the comment section and guess fantasy points on DraftKings for my Beast of the Week. Whoever's guess is the closest, simple as that. You're going to walk away with a free month of RotoGrinders Premium just for hanging out with me today in the fantasy bar. All right, let's wrap it up with my favorite play for week 7. You know, Master Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We're going to the quarterback position, and we are going to stay with the Dallas Cowboys and roll with Dak Prescott, my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. So Dak just continues to play at an MVP level here this season, yet he's always under-owned in GPPs. Again, the excitement on the other side of the game with Jaden Daniels, which is valid, but let's not forget about Dak Prescott and this Dallas Cowboys offense, who have been incredible here this season, especially the last couple weeks. Dak just performing week in and week out, over 22 DraftKings points in 4 of the last 5. In fact, he's averaging almost 28 DraftKings points in those 4 games. Over the last 3 weeks alone, 10 touchdown passes for Dak Prescott, and now he gets CeeDee Lamb back. So Pickens, Lamb, Ferguson, Javonte, this offense looks like it is going to be humming on all cylinders here. Washington, 8th most passing yards allowed to the quarterback position this season, and the 6th most fantasy points here. Jaden Daniels is great, but Dak Prescott looking like he may be sub 10%, potentially sub 5% in the highest total game on the slate. Give me that all day. Dak Prescott, easily my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll do it for our Week 7 video. Tried to get you some guys I think are going to be low owned that I'll be using in my GPPs and some of my favorite plays across every single position on DraftKings and FanDuel. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, whatever you guys want to talk about, hit that comment section on YouTube and let me know. Or you can also hit me up on Twitter at Beermakersfan. Don't forget your guess. How many points does Dak Prescott score on DraftKings? Hit it up in the comment section for a shot to win a free month of RotoGrinders Premium. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video and hanging out in the fantasy bar. Best of luck on the Week 7 slate, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for checking out our videos. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more DraftKings, FanDuel, and other DFS content, and you can check out our daily live show schedule on RotoGrinders.com/videos.